Boris Johnson's opus is about to make the shelves. Unleashed, or as it might better be called, unhinged. It's a tome that is as much about the man's inflated self-perception as it is a masterclass in political equivocation. If ever there was a literary exercise in obfuscation, this would certainly be a gold medalist contender. To begin with his curiously selective apologies, one must admire the linguistic gymnastics with which he manages to apologize without actually apologizing. It's something which I intensely object to, this sort of fake apology. He regrets apologizing to the Queen over the Downing Street revelry, a grovelling mea culpa he now deems a pathetic mistake. The Partygate. Rather grand of him, don't you think? As if in his mind the scandal was little more than a minor faux pas, the sort one might make after a rather boisterous evening at one's club, having forgotten that the help has already gone to bed. It's a disgraceful display of arrogance. Of course, the real pièce de résistance in this tragicomedy is Johnson's assertion that by issuing an apology, he inadvertently validated the entire corpus of accusations. One imagines him in some grandiose moment of self-reflection, perhaps while riding a zip wire across Westminster, pondering the unfairness of it all. Suddenly, Johnson is the victim. His argument appears to be that his noble colleagues were simply toiling away, saving the realm, while sipping on Sauvignon Blanc, and yet they've been unjustly maligned. The true victim of the Partygate saga, it seems, is Boris himself. Tragic, boo-hoo. Now, as for his musings on David Cameron's evacuation post-Brexit, we are treated to yet another morsel of historical revisionism. To hear Johnson tell it, one would think the poor Cameron simply ran away like a frightened schoolboy, leaving Boris to heroically mop up the chaos with nothing more than a bemused gove and a dash of classical allusion. In reality, of course, Johnson's Brexit crusade was about as strategically sound as the charge of the Light Brigade, glorious in its initial thrust, but utterly disastrous in the aftermath. And it's going to take more than just a simple poem to exonerate Boris, to pull him out of the sloth of scurrilous reputation. What's more striking about his memoir, however, is Boris Johnson's casual dismissal of the Privileges Committee's findings, labelling their conclusions as deranged. It's a word he wields with the sort of indignant swagger one might expect from a man who considers himself perpetually hard done by. He likens the process to a political assassination. Maybe he's been reading too much Nadine Dorries, because clearly in his world, being held accountable is tantamount to a Shakespearean conspiracy. Is he Marlowe? And therein lies the paradox of Boris, one of the greatest writers, one of the greatest performers on the political stage, but ultimately hollow. For all his elegant verbosity and his classical references, for all his Churchillian swagger and pretension, there remains the unmistakable whiff of a man who believes himself above the fray, a tragic hero trapped in his own farce, a man who has been bottled with his own farts, a man suffocating in flatulence of his own making. It's as though he expects history to judge him not by his missteps, but by the sheer force, the brutality of his personality, the expulsion of his wind, an expectation that may, in time, prove as misguided as his Brexit blueprint. Get Brexit done! And then, what else could one expect from a memoir entitled Unleashed? What is unleashed? His insane ambition? The title itself is rather apt, an image of Boris, unshackled, unchecked, staining the sofa, preparing for another insemination of personality, careening through the annals of British history, like some sort of Etonian bull in a political china shop. One could almost hear the raucous laughter echoing through the corridors of Downing Street as Boris emerges victorious from yet another round of the revisionist memoir writing. This is the one to have. This is the, if you want a political memoir that changes history, this is the one, but it's not going to change history, because no one is going to be taken in by this wordplay, I hope. The grandeur, the farce, the absurdity, the lexicon of lunacy. Truly, one can only admire the audacity, but one has to put it in its place. And Boris should be standing in the corner. He should never be allowed near the mechanics of power again.